Hello, friends! What we're going to do for this example is solve the system by graphing. So the system of inequalities that we're working with right now is y is greater than -2 and x is less than 1. And we've got our xy grid on the right hand side, and the first thing that we're going to work with is just the first equation. So everything that we know about this is one, that it's only in terms of y, which tells me one of two things. It's either going to be a horizontal line or a vertical line. And in order to tell which one it is, we're going to look at the variable. It says y is greater than -2. So let's look at the y-axis and find y is equal to -2. And you can see that it's right here, which tells us that we're going to have a horizontal line because it's crossing the y-axis. And actually, I should be careful. This is not a horizontal line. It is horizontal, but it's actually going to be a dashed line because we have the greater than symbol. It's just going to be a dashed line. So now that we have it crossing our y-axis, we will continue with our dashed line. And in order to shade, we need to find a y value that is larger than the y-intercept of our graph. And our y-intercept is -2. So let's find any y value on the y-axis that is larger than -2. So for example, 0. 0 is definitely bigger than -2. So we're going to shade in the direction that 0 is, which is above this horizontal line. I'm going to try to do this somewhat neatly. For whatever reason, when I graph these on a computer, they look messier. Then I'm done. I'll move on to the next equation. The next equation is x is less than 1. Again, we're either going to have a horizontal line or a vertical line. And the easiest way to tell is let's find where x is equal to 1, since this equation is in terms of x. This inequality is in terms of x. So we find where x is equal to 1, and we'll make a little tick mark right here. And since this tick mark is already moving in the vertical sense, it's going to be a vertical line. And actually, same reasoning, it's going to be a vertical dashed line since we have x is less than. So at x is equal to 1, we're going to create that dashed line. And then we have to determine which way to shade. So again, we want to find an x value that is less than the x-intercept that we just kind of graphed right there. And our x-intercept, remember, is 1. So find any x value that is smaller than 1. Again, 0 will work just fine. So we're going to shade towards that value. This is going to be shading on the left. And now we can see that over here, we're starting to get lines that intersect. And that is part of our solution space. So the last thing to determine is we need to come up with at least one point that is within the overlap that is part of our solution. So this is totally up to you. You can choose any number you want. I personally like to choose 0, 0 if at all possible, just because it's very nice and easy. So I would say that 0, 0 is one of the solutions. one of the infinitely many solutions. As a matter of fact, to this system. So 0, 0 is one of the infinitely many solutions to the system. Again, since there's infinitely many, you and the person sitting next to you may have different ideas on which value to choose. Let's take a peek at the solution side. So here it is, all nice and beautifully worked out. You can see that I wrote dashed line, dashed line underneath both of them before I even got started. I think that's a great strategy to use. I mentioned that this is a horizontal line with no slope, and I know that the y-intercept is at 0, -2. Which makes sense. That's where that original horizontal dash line began. And similarly for x is less than 1, it's a vertical line because it's crossing the x-axis. It also has no slope, and we have that x-intercept at 1, 0.